Last night I was watching uThando neSthembu, the show Musa Mseleku on what people call polygamy. Polygamy is an umbrella term for people that have multiple sexual relationships with people. The correct term for one man who has more than one wife is actually polygyny. And then the term for a woman that has more than one husband is called polyandry. In a situation where there is no marriage, no wife, no husband, niajola, you guys are dating, and you have more than one partner, whether you are a woman or a man, it is called polyamory. Nice big English words, but we have these words so that they can fully articulate and accurately explain what we're speaking about. I've been a fan of the show for a long time. Musa Mseleku is very charming. His wives are very beautiful and very great and very charming themselves. Umakuma Lutobile is my favorite. It's just really unfortunate that she can't bear children, but her personality, her energy, her beauty, she's such an amazing soul that I see through television. Musa in this season has been struggling with one of his wives, Mangwabe. I think her name is Umbali, I could be wrong. Mangwabe, who has been studying, and because she's been studying, she hasn't been spending as much time at home. She hasn't been able to fulfill her wifely duties, and it's upset Musa a lot. So they've had fights. I'm making this video because I'm very passionate about adults versus children. Very passionate about psychology. I'm very passionate about leadership. And what I've come to realize in this world is that age does not mean you are mature. Age almost has no alignment to maturity. I've seen that so many old people are immature and they are actually children. I see this in the way that they beg politicians to solve their problems. They rely on government for everything. They wait for a pastor or a god to come and solve their problems and give them jobs, and they whine and complain endlessly. They throw tantrums, they get angry, they throw protests, they burn stuff. That's the behavior of a child. An adult takes responsibility. Number one, an adult is intelligent. They have knowledge, they have the ability to process and make decisions and solve problems. They take responsibility for their lives. So an adult, if they don't have a job, creates work. If they don't have money, they find a way to get money. If something's broken, they fix it. They find a way to outsource certain things that they lack, and they solve problems. Not only do adults do that, adults solve problems for other people, mostly their own children and other people's children. If a child is hungry, if a child is sick, if a child has been injured, if a child doesn't know what decision to make, an adult then steps in. Most old people are no longer adults, and the schooling system and church and TV are not training them to be adults. If anything, they are training them to be dependent children. Go vote. Come and get a job. Go get school somewhere. Go buy food from there. Go to church and ask your pastor to help you. Go for counseling. We are not being trained to think. We are not being trained to solve our problems. And especially for the black nation, it's one of the reasons why the race is an inferior one. I look in the South African context where we've got groups like AfriForum, where you've got places like Orania. I think Kleinfontein is a new one, and it's relatively new one in Pretoria, where white people have bought a piece of land and they've built a mini town there that is self-sufficient. We saw with the looting, with the riots, where white people had guns, Indian people had guns. People are arming themselves, they grow their own food, they are setting up solar farms, they are building their own schools in Saltec and other places in Kuro. They are solving their problems. And the children, sadly mostly black people, are out there waiting for miracles. We voted for you, give us jobs. But pastor, we tithe. Where's our food? Where's our salvation? Penal, you said you would get us this thing. So the topic of adults and children is big for me. And look, not everyone is a child in all situations. Some people, let's say for example, a security guard or a domestic worker or gardener, they may be children at work. They are dependent on their boss, on their master, on their employer to give them work, to tell them what to do, to shelter them when they're wrong. But then when they get home, they might be adults. They then make decisions for their children. They provide for their children. They make sure that there's security and education, etc. So it's not necessarily that you're fully an adult or fully a child. Sometimes there are certain situations where you are a child and where you are an adult as well. What happens now in relationships, not just romantic, happens with parenting, where your mom, your dad raised you your whole life. They were your parents, they were the adults, they made the decisions. And now you have gotten smarter through schooling, through the streets, through watching content, through reading books, through engaging in life experiences, building your own businesses, having jobs, making your own money, making your own mistakes, being heartbroken, having children. You are now growing up and you're learning how to be smart and independent and an adult. And it does happen that sometimes you equal your parents and then pass them. And then you start seeing that some of the decisions they make are very childish. Some of the ways that they get angry and emotional. And they fail to see that our child is now smart and has grown. Let us let this child make smarter decisions. Make the decisions, asazi ibhuti ukuthi senze njani, sicela usihole usitshele ukuthi senze njani. We struggle with succession planning because a lot of old people don't realize when their young children are getting strong and smart and they give them the platform to shine. We saw this in the African National Congress where a strong leader like Julius Malema, who had to be elevated, was being blocked by old people who are insecure. And he left and he built his own party in the Economic Freedom Fighters, who have grown very, very well. A strong young leader who old people couldn't see the wealth of his strength in leadership and intelligence. And now they are losing some of their votes because of that. We see it in business. Old dinosaur business that are being collapsed by young, agile businesses with very sharp young people. Women empowerment, feminism happened because a lot of dumb men weren't able to see intelligent, strong women that needed to be empowered and given a platform to shine, that needed to be paid fair wages. We saw the collapse of apartheid, where dumb white people, unfortunately, couldn't let intelligent, strong black people come in and lead. So we see that very much happening where people who are not mature, who are still childlike, they hold on to these positions. And even when young people who are very strong, have great ideas, can do great things, come in, they block them out. Now, in a romantic sense, a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages I've seen have collapsed because of the same dynamic. I'm a man, I'm 30 years old, I go and I marry a 22-year-old lady. I'm older than her by 8 years. She's young, she's in university, she's still dependent on her parents, and now that I've married her, she now becomes dependent on me. I have a job, I earn money. I have a car, she doesn't. I drive her around, I buy her airtime and data, I give her money to do her hair and her nails, I house her, I feed her, I maybe even contribute to her education. It's beautiful. I'm the strong, providing man, and she's the submissive wife. So now, unfortunately, as the relationship goes on, as life goes on, sorry, I had a call. As life and the relationship goes on, unfortunately, this woman becomes empowered. She finishes school. She gets a job. She starts earning her own money. I'm maybe earning 20,000 Rand a month. She starts earning 10,000 Rand a month. As time goes on, I earn 25. She starts earning maybe 20,000. As we go, she may have studied something that is a higher profession than mine. She starts earning 35,000 and I'm earning 30. She earns more than me. Not only that, at work, she's now a boss. She's gone for leadership training. She's dealt with conflict resolution at work, dealing with issues, dealing with other situations. She's strong. She leads at church, at home, etc. And I'm struggling as a man to see that. And when I try to put my foot down, this woman says, no, I disagree with you. I don't think this is the right way to do things. I go and I say my wife is no longer submissive. She's disrespectful. But the problem is that she is now no longer a child. She is now an adult. And I failed to see that. And that's where we're fighting. And I believe that's what happened. That's what's happening with Musa Mseleku. And he's not unique. I've seen a lot of marriages break down for the same reason. The woman was found or got married when she was young and still a child. And now she's empowered. She's educated. She has a job. She has her own money. She wants to buy her own car. She wants to go on her own holidays. She maybe wants to buy her own home. And the man cannot handle that because he is now inferior to her. Sorry, I keep getting phone calls. I just have to block them. So now what should happen? Very controversially, I believe that once your partner becomes an adult like you, you've got two options. Number one, you guys become partners because you're now both adults and you guys make joint decisions. If you're intelligent and if you guys have the same vision and if you can compromise, that works. That's great. You co-parent, you cohabitate, you co-invest together. In a situation, unfortunately, where you guys have different visions. She's like, I've grown up. I'm now a matured woman that makes her own money. I don't want to follow your leadership anymore. You guys have to end. The marriage has to end. With Musa Mseleku, we don't know what's going to happen in the season. We really don't. Mangwabe looks disrespectful. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the tact and the articulation to explain what's happening to her in her growth, in her development. And I think Musa himself is struggling to see that my woman is no longer a child now. She is now an adult and she wants to be her own person. I now need to either partner with her or realize that because we've got different visions and maybe she's no longer comfortable with me being polygamous, maybe it is time to end our marriage on good terms and say, unfortunately, because it happens again when you're a parent. You've got children, they grow up. As your children finish matric, get a degree, get a job, you can either partner with your kids and say, look, let's build something together. This is my vision. Come in with your ideas. Let's build a family business, for example. Or you can say, look, you are now independent. You are now strong enough to fly from the nest. You have a different vision from me. I love you and I bless you. Go and build your own thing. I'll help you where I can because you're an adult. If you need advice, consults, that's chilled. Otherwise, please go and do your thing. We don't want to have these conversations. We're not even thinking about these conversations. Julius Malema realized that his parents didn't recognize that he's an adult today, a strong adult in the ANC. And he went and he built his own home in the EFF. And he's now a parent to other people. As time goes on, we will see if he has the maturity and the intelligence to see other strong children, not because of age, children in mindset, coming up and becoming adults and saying, Julius, let us lead with you. And if you will have the ability to move out the way, and if not, happily say, look, move on and go build your own thing and I'll support you. That's how it's meant to be done. We cannot all be adults. There's nothing wrong with being a child. Children are there. They are needed. It's part of life. Leadership, being an adult, taking responsibility, making decisions is very hard. It's very painful. It's very stressful. It's not for everyone. You need to own it. I'm a child. I want to be taken care of. I want a man that will feed me, that will take care of me, that will give me chores and tell me, wife, cook. Wife, do the laundry. Wife, do this. And give me that space to give him ideas as well. Because nothing is extreme. You don't have to be an extreme adult and the other person is an extreme child. You can be an understanding, flexible adult and the other person can be a flexible child that has good ideas and you guys help each other where you can and empower each other. And sometimes when the adult is saying, let me empower, you can say, no, thank you. I don't want the responsibility of the leadership that you have. I don't want to go into politics. I don't want to be the pastor. I don't want to be the CEO. I'm happy to let the best person lead us and I will follow and be a good, strong follower and hold you accountable. Lead us. And if you're not leading us, I will leave you and go and find a better parent, leader, adult. That's what happens when we vote. That's what happens when people move to a new church. That's what happens when people move to another company. That's what happens when people break up and find another partner. They are looking for a better deal, a better parent to take care of them, or a better partner to hold the fort with them. Let's see how uThando neSthembu plays out this year. These are just my thoughts on Musa Mseleku and his wife, Umangwabe, and the current tension that they have in their marriage. Pen you well, the black pen. Cheers.